Hey guys, it's Josh back with another Pardini video, and after the last video I did covering all about the trigger on these, how to work with it, how to set it up how you want it, I got a few requests to talk about how to do a deep clean of the frame of these. So we're going to have a look. Most people are well aware, these things are really easy to clean on a regular basis, to do the barrel, bolts, and whatnot. But every now and again, we need to look at how we get all of the debris and crap out of the back of this. So I'm just going to share with you the method that I use. A mate of mine actually put me onto this method. It works really well. So what you'll need is some kerosene, a litre of kerosene or so, low odor kerosene or deodorised kerosene. It's going to be a lot more user friendly and it makes your gun smell a whole lot less when you're done. Some ATF fluid, automatic transmission fluid. There's very specific additives in this which make it a far superior choice than any other oils. Specifically to do with it's non-gumming, it's not going to dry out and gum up, and there's specific lubricating qualities in here. Now we don't need much ATF fluid at all. We're using like 5 ml, right? So you don't need a full container. You can just use a tiny little bit if you've got some. Also, a little brush is very handy. This particular brush is simply a brush that comes with a set of hair clippers, and I cut the sides off it. Or if you don't have something, you'll probably be able to improvise. We'll get to that. All right, so just jumping in real quick, because when I went to edit this, there was a clip that I missed somehow. So along with your kerosene and your ATF fluid, which this has already got it in it, you're going to need a container. Now, I just happen to love using these 2-litre juice bottle. Cut the top out, and it just happens to be the perfect shape to fit the Pardini frame in. Works really well. Put your litre of fluid in, and then when you're done, you can tip it straight back into your bottle. I also needed to mention at the start that you're going to need a little bit of Moly grease. You're definitely not going to need this much. This is a ridiculous amount. But whatever you can get your hands on, and a little toothpick to apply that will help as well. There's two major things two reasons why we want to clean this trigger. One, we want to get rid of all the debris, right? There's going to be powder residue and all sorts of things in the back here, which just builds up over time. And the second reason is we want to remove all of this Moly grease on the sear. We want to be able to remove all the old grease so it's nice and clean and dry, so that we can apply new grease to lube it up. And if we were to just run straight Kero through this, which for the most part would be fine, it would clean it well, we probably, if we remove all of the surface lubricant, all of the surface oil, 100%, more than likely might make it prone to corrosion on certain parts in there. So that's the reason why we're just adding 5 ml of ATF fluid into our kerosene, because that amount is going to leave it's going to allow it to dry fully. It's just going to leave the finest, minute amount of corrosion protection in there. If you think your gun's exposed to really salty weather or salty air or anything, you can probably step it up to about 10 ml if you want to. I've found 5 ml to be heaps. That leaves it at about 200 to 1. We want it to be as dry as possible. We just want the bare minimum of corrosion protection, because when we apply the new Moly grease on here at the end, we want it to be dry. We don't want any oil on there that's going to water down our Moly grease and affect the friction on the sear. One, because it'll make it feel shitty, and two, it could, if we break down that film, start to lead to deterioration of those surfaces. Now, as you can see, we've just stripped down to our frame here, and we've got our kerosene with our 5 mils of ATF, and all we're going to do is place the gun in the solution just like that. It's probably not a bad idea if you want to use gloves while you're doing this. I always generally just do what I need to do and wash my hands quickly, but gloves will certainly help out. So normally I'll just leave it in there, allow it to soak for generally a couple of hours, sometimes overnight, and then we'll come back. All right, so I've only just put it in there. Normally we'd allow it to soak a little bit, but I'm just going to give it a little swoosh around, allow some of those particles to be freed up in there. And we're going to start to break down in this hole here some of the Moly grease in on the sear. So start to break that down. Then as we allow it to soak, it can get into that inner layer. Break that down and you'll see all the bits and pieces starting to float off into the fluid. All right, so it's been soaking in here for a bit. I can see quite a bit of debris come out of it. I've been moving it around, giving a little shake. So now we're going to use the bolt to disengage the sear. And on both sides, we're going to be able to really get in here now and get in and around that sear and disconnector and really be able to get all of that old Moly grease off. You just need to get a light and look in there and get all of that old Moly grease. Any of the Moly grease that's still on there, it's got debris in it and it's now watered down with kero. So we need it all off so that surface can dry. So when we put the new Moly grease on, it's clean and dry and our new Moly grease can have its full lubricating properties to give us that nice clean feel and to protect that, nice polished surface. I wouldn't click the trigger off or anything while you've got no grease on there, because I don't really like the idea of those surfaces sliding against each other without the proper lube. But it certainly doesn't hurt to just use the bolt to pull it apart so you've got the room inside the sear to get all that off. Also, now's the perfect time to get in and clean out all the gunk that gets stuck in your bolt. So your bolt's all nice and clean. All right, so if you pull it out now, you should be able to see a lot of that debris in there, okay, that's come out. And so that's what we want. And so what I do now is I take it outside, I give it a blowdown with some compressed air. Just be mindful of the kerosene that it's going to be atomizing. But that just speeds up the process. You don't need to do that. I'm not going to show it because I know that most people won't have compressed air. So all we really need to do is just let it drain well, set it up where it can drain, come back and move it. Maybe an hour later, let it drain on an old rag, and dry down all the excess off the outside. And now just allow it to dry. The more we allow it to dry, the better it's going to be. It's really critical that we completely allow this sear to dry before we go anywhere near it with the new Moly grease. Again, you might just want to, every now and again, open that up just to allow that to dry. You can even sit it without the spring in. It'll sit there for a little bit and just allow that to dry completely. Let's see if I can show that on the... Okay. Allow it to dry properly. Once it's dry, then we move on to the Moly grease. Another option, I haven't done it, but I definitely can see it working, is to actually just clean the frame in water, whether you were just doing it in a soapy solution, a general sort of detergent to remove all of the above like we've discussed, or whether you're putting in like an ultrasonic cleaner perhaps. But you would still need to dip it in the kero with the oil to, in my opinion, to give it that finishing corrosion protection. So I think there's a few options for cleaning it. I don't see a way around not using the kero to apply that very fine film of oil, because any other way that we apply the oil in there, we're going to water down the potentially the sear surfaces. While we're waiting for the guns to dry, we can simply pull the lid off here and just tip the kero and the oil back into the kero bottle, just nice and carefully. I've let it settle, so all the residue and all, 90% of the crap is going to stay in the bottom of the solution. And I'm just going to tip almost all of the kero back in. Just going to leave a little bit there to be discarded with all the nasties in it, or at least 95% of the nasties. And we've got our fairly clean oiled kero for next time. All right, so these have just been sitting overnight. They're all nice and dry, and more importantly, I've had a good look in at the sear. It's all nice and dry in there. So we're ready to apply the Moly grease. All right, so once we're ready to put our Moly grease on, we're just going to take a tiny little bit of Moly grease on the end of a toothpick. Now open it up. I'm just going to try and get the light right here. You'll see two flat polished surfaces which run across the gun. One you can see here, this shiny surface, and there's another one in here. The light's not quite right. We want to make sure we coat both of those faces. So we're going in between. We're running it the full length through across both of those flat rectangular faces. Okay, so the first thing is to make sure that we coat both of those faces. They are the finely polished surfaces which need to slide across each other. All right, so once we know that both of those polished surfaces are done, we just turn it over, and again, we just go inside where this disconnector runs here. So that's got some lube on it there. And then that's the greasing done. All right, so that's about it. Ready to put it all back together. Obviously we'll lube it up when we put it together, but another thing while it's all apart, I like to always check this dampener here, right? So you can push down on the bench and feel that springiness. Inside there is, from memory, 13 little O-rings, so it just acts as a cushion when that bolt goes flying back. I recently, checked mine again, and they've been fine for years and years. Mine have never had any issues, but I know that some people have pulled theirs out and they're broken down. I think it's probably dependent upon the types of cleaners that you're using, but they seem to be okay with the kero. That's that. And also in the back here on this style, right at the very back, you're not going to be able to see it, but is basically this. It's similar to the size of this opening. On this very back here is a little like a plastic looking dampener. It's probably made from a durable nylon or potentially neoprene or something. So again, they last a fair while. It's always good to keep an eye on them. And again, the Kero doesn't seem to worry them. Certainly doesn't seem to break them down. But they're fairly inexpensive to replace if you need to. So that's about it. I thought since we've come this far, I might just quickly show you how I lube mine up to put it back together. So I'll run through that now. All right, so I like to lube up the outside of the barrel here, rub it around with my finger, just so we've got enough to coat it. Then I like to lube up just the tiny little dots down in these crevices, just enough for it to go on all of these sliding surfaces. Again, very small amount, just enough to drizzle it down on there. Rubbing it over these surfaces. Slide it over. I like to leave it upright and then just guide the gun down onto it like so. And do it up. Ready to go. So I also just wanted to mention, with the Kero, it's going to be reasonably smelly. So obviously you don't want to do it inside your house. You know, in a garage or something's generally pretty fine. I find the smell's pretty much gone after with the deodorised Kero after, you know, a day, the next day. But you can certainly leave it if you're a bit sensitive to it. You can certainly leave it for a couple of days or a few days. It's going to get better with time. And so, yeah, just be mindful of that. All right, that's it. Hopefully that's helped out, and happy shooting.